This is Hadrian Radio, coming to you from Free Catalonia, a KA radio production.
There's something rotten in the state of Denmark. Hamlet, William Shakespeare. Good afternoon. This is David Rabantos, and this is chapter 33 of Radio Hadrian on its English language edition. As always, thank Shale Scott and K Radio for the opportunity of telling the truth about Catalonia and sometimes Scotland in things that you cannot hear anywhere else practically. And to please ask you to tune in this program on the air version. It's at 16 GMT time in www.karadio.co.uk, and not only to listen to this, but also to the Long Gunman Rides Again, which gives us another way to see the world or to listen to the wonderful music you can get in KA Radio. We're going to try to put KA Radio in the history of Catalonia, because we're going to make history and we're going to declare independence, taking it for the hands of the traitors that are running the Catalan process. And KA Radio will have the place it deserves in the history books in Catalonia in the next 24 months. Today's program, we started by saying something rotten in Denmark, because Catalan President Carles Puigdemont has had a shameful behavior in Denmark, and we want to comment on that. We're gonna go briefly, because you may know that there's about to be new government in Catalonia, and there's the inaugural session where he's supposed to be made president, but anyways, as his stooge, really doesn't make a difference if he can make it there or not. We're gonna talk about new information relating the attacks in Barcelona on the 17th of August, which this is the only media in Catalonia and Scotland that has openly said it were a false flag attack. And now everybody else is coming to terms with that. But here in chapters 9 onwards, with Delia Forrest and myself, we started letting you know that this was a false flag attack. Then we're going to talk about how cybernets are the worst obstacle towards independence, both in Catalonia and Scotland, because they work willingly or unwillingly for our enemies. And then we're going to go a bit on about how Maduro is a mole, actually working for the Americans, and how the Russia and NATO tiff over Catalan independence is a lie. And we start. Well, as you might know, Catalan President Carles Puigdemont is in a so-called political asylum in Belgium, but this week he went to Denmark, to Copenhagen, to have a lecture and a discussion where he was demolished because he was going to a hostile territory, which makes you wonder, why should you go to a place that you knew in advance because of the people who were going to intervene that you're going to be demolished? Well, for those listening to this program, we already know. We already proved in chapter 3 how Carles Puigdemont has been infiltrated in the Catalan politics to impede independence from within, as is the same case with Nicola Sturgeon, Alex Salmond, Angus Brendan McNeil, Stephen Noon, you name them, in Scotland. And this week he went there. Spain found a remote excuse not to ask for his international detention, because actually he's a Spanish spy, so why should they? He went as far as to say that a referendum where the whole of Spain would vote would be a reasonable solution. Excuse me, you're supposed to have declared the Catalan Republic, and now you consider a plausible solution a referendum in which the whole of Spain would vote? No way, Jose. And that is a plan, because it's very perverse, but I hope you stay with us in this. This has been promoted in Catalan media, that is Spanish media. Until we declare independence, everything we love in Scotland is British. Everything we love in Catalonia Spanish until we break free, because everything is controlled by our enemies. So then he says that this referendum could be acceptable with whole of Spain voting. So when finally only Catalans vote in a Scottish-style referendum that will be rigged so we cannot win, then it will look like a victory. That's how perverse it is. So they offer you something which is like, we're gonna chop both your arms and legs, would be a referendum where everybody votes, and then after all, we only chop you one arm, so you should be very happy, isn't it? That's how they manipulate us. They own everything. They own everything. That's why it's called a system. It's not a system if you don't have everything. It's naive beyond belief to think that the SNP, the National, Puigdemont, TV3, these things are not part of the system we're trying to fight. And not only that, but this Puigdemont dude kissed twice the Spanish flag in front of a mobile phone. It was a lowlife came to him and urged him to kiss the Spanish flag, and he kissed it not only once but twice. And the video has been circulating. Well, too many people have died in 20 wars for not accepting kissing an occupation army flag. We live in dictatorship when the obvious decent thing, like when you're the president of a country, you don't kiss the flag of the country you're trying to get independent from, needs to be explained. But we have Vilaweb and we have every government media sponsored saying that it was a smart move. We need to realize that leaders that kiss the enemy's flag, leaders that say that all Spain should vote, leaders that do fake declarations, they work for the enemy. And it's as obvious as the emperor's new dress when he was naked. But the same goes for Scotland. They didn't declare independence while they had 56 out of 59 in Westminster, majority in Holyrood, and they didn't declare. And they let the referendum be rigged because they took none of the things you normally do to avoid being rigged. And they don't let nobody in Scotland who tried to prove it was rigged. They were not helped by the SNP. But then, hey, we're talking about Angus Robertson, Alex Salmond, and Nicola Sturgeon being members of the Privy Council. Who you think they're gonna, it's a conflict of interest, who do you think they're gonna betray? The people of Scotland or the English Queen? I know what my answer to that is. And I know what the answer should be for you if you really are committed to the independence of Scotland. For the rest, next week there's supposed to be the inauguration of Puigdemont if he gets the majority, but we here, we don't really care if it's gonna be the old stooge Puigdemont or a new stooge that Spain will produce. We know that none of them, unless the independence wins, which is gonna happen the next 23 months and a few days before that term, declare independence, because everything else we see is a gigantic, humongous Truman Show where everything is run by our enemies. So here we don't speculate. So if they're gonna keep the same old stooge, or they're gonna detain him and put a new stooge, or they're gonna put people on the street to force the world to intervene, so we have a Scottish-style referendum that would be lost. We don't play by the rules anymore. We're gathering support, and we have more people and more information every day, and we're bringing the system down, and we're starting in Catalonia, and we're bringing the system down everywhere else after that. Because they use the same protocols with us. You have been had by your own side, the same way as Catalans have. And I'm sure that the Basque and the Corsicans and the Venetians and people in Flanders, all of them have been had by their own side. It shows with things like IC, run by Elisenda Palousier and Anarque. These people are moles. Very close to the super mole, Joan Vives and Soler Vicens. And you see these people have relations with Angus Brendan McNeil or Shona McAlpin or Stephen Noon. All these people are marked, they have the mark of the beast on them. They all work for the enemy. In another line, there's been new information showing that the attacks in Barcelona were a false flag organized by Spain. By Spain and higher, I would say. And here again, we should send you to chapters from 9 to 13, because Radio Hadrian has been the only program where the truth has been told. We started saying this, and people close to the Catalan government tried to shut us up, as they always do, without giving our name, so we couldn't defend ourselves. And now there's been a mockery of a petition of Ciudadanos, which is the new fascistic guys that are supposed to have won the elections in Catalonia. In the Spanish parliament, they asked for an investigation on what really happened. But it's not really serious here, because they have a minority, and they know that the Partido Popular of Rajoy and so-called Socialist Party are going to vote against it. And now we have Esquerra Republicana, which also says wants an investigation, but they know it won't happen. So it's all a farce of the worst kind. And even if they investigated, they wouldn't investigate into the real thing. The real thing is that both Catalan government and Spanish government connived to have the attack happening. And that's why they gathered together in the Junta de Seguridad, the joint committee of Catalan and Spanish police that hadn't got together in 10 years. In 10 years they don't get together. They get together July 2017 and bang, in August it happens. They're really jinxed people, isn't it? And the same people gathered together 3 days before the 1st of October referendum. And 3 days after that, violence happens. I think these people should be forbidden from gathering together again, because you know what might happen next time. Every time they get together, there's violence on people in Catalonia. Please, let's not get together. Never again. Now, it's a difficult subject, but that's why it's the kind of subject that we talk about here in Radio Hadrian. And is this cybernets being the worst obstacle for independence in Catalonia and Scotland? First of all, there's something that we need to get in our minds. Infiltrators from MI5 or CNI in Catalonia are not going to be hiding under the Union Jack, are they? It would be too stupid. Who's going to believe somebody under a Union Jack? Nobody. But they hide again behind 45s and Celtars and unicorns and these things, and they have Scottish sounding names, so they work for London. And then you have rabbit people, which they don't have the intelligence to look forward to things, and they defend SNP and Nicola Sturgeon without any logic argument and with blind faith. Both kinds are difficult to tell apart, because the guys working for London, they also pass as cybernets, being rabid and ignorant and attacking everything that attacks the goddess Nicola Sturgeon. So it's very difficult to tell the difference. We'll know when we win, we'll know, but after this point, and there's been some example. It's been a week of flags, because we heard here that there was this fake controversy about the Union Jack being used less in Scotland, and it seems that it was something that was already in order 8 years ago. But it's the kind of fake controversy we shouldn't be talking about. If the SNP hadn't collaborated to rig the referendum in 2014, there wouldn't be any Union Jacks in Scotland, because Scotland would be independent 3.5 years ago. So now we're talking about the use of the Union Jack in one of the colonies of London, or North England, which goes by the name of Scotland. We shouldn't be talking about these things that are only there to take the focus away from the real thing. But the important here thing is that a couple of days ago, it's a pity we talk about that, but actually, as most of things outside Radio Hadrian when it comes to media and politicals are a lie, we only talk about the things we know for sure. I've already told you that Carles Puigdemont kissed the Spanish flag in front of a lowlife, and that's been recorded in a phone. And that gave reason, and it's something, normally if we live in an information world and the National was something else than just something to manipulate people into thinking they want independence, normally the National could perfectly put on his front page, how would you feel if Nicola Sturgeon kissed publicly the Union Jack? She doesn't need to do publicly because she is a member of the Privy Council, but let's imagine, like we believe that Santa Claus exists, or children come like delivered from Paris. And let's imagine that. Let's imagine Nicola Sturgeon wanted Scottish independence. Let's suspend belief for some time. How would you feel if she kissed the Union Jack? Perfectly normal question to be put by Delia Forrest, the initiator of this program. And the abuse she got for asking a normal question. And people saying she wouldn't do it, and people abusing Delia just for asking. Which brings to the point first of like, lots of them ignored that Carles Puigdemont had done that, which it's something typical of cybernets. They don't care about nothing except their very narrow world, so they don't have information that is relevant to conquer independence. I did a hunger strike both for Scotland and Catalonia, and not only because I love freedom everywhere and because I love Scotland, but because it's so important to have Scotland and Catalonia linked in this. Every Scotsman should know now that Carles Puigdemont is a traitor, because somebody who kisses the enemy's flag is a traitor. But here in Catalonia, we are blinded by cognitive dissonance, and every media is run by the Catalan government, but the Catalan government is run by our enemies in Spain. So the chances of free information are reduced to this, yours sincerely, Radio Hadrian. So the advantage in Scotland, they should see the treason, and then they should look home and realize that people belonging to the Privy Council of the English Queen cannot work for Scottish independence, and they would understand why the referendum was rigged and why no exit polls and why all the things that happened in Scottish referendum. But instead of that, armed with their ignorance of what happened with Puigdemont and the Spanish flag, they attack Delia, and they start insulting her for having put the normal question. But the mockery of it, this rabid people, ignorant of what had happened, with blind faith in Nicola Sturgeon, or else working for London and protecting the main London asset, which is Nicola Sturgeon, are an obstacle, because normal people want to be in the company of these ignorant, abusing bullies, would they? These are fascistoid, narcissistic behaviors. When asking a perfectly normal question that is food for thought is acted upon violently. These people, you can imagine, as the same kind of people who would abuse people in Germany in the 30s and 40s. Bullies, rabid bullies, blinded by faith. But these same people, then you turn to Catalonia, and it's the kind of bullies that are defending what Puigdemont did, so you can never defeat them. This fascistic cybernet type. They consider it impossible, and they abuse you if you ask it. But then the same people, if tomorrow Nicola Sturgeon or Carles Puigdemont kisses it, they would have perfectly valid explanations on how cool it was that they did, because they avoided the provocation. The same people, they change the act, and nothing happens, because they can say today one thing and tomorrow another thing. Lots of them have fake names, or lots of them have not much of a life, so it doesn't matter if they're called red-handed. Some of us are here, and Delia is an example for fighting for independence of Scotland and Catalonia and Aborigine Australians. She doesn't deserve to be abused by a bunch of cybernets that have nothing to do better with their lives than sit behind the keyboard. She has put her act where her words are, and she's been supportive of not only Scotland but Catalonia to a higher point than 99.99% of Scots or Catalans can say. It is a disgrace, a dictatorship, a totalitarian country, when somebody who has fought for Scottish independence more than most people in Scotland can be bullied and attacked by cybernets that actually are doing the dirty work for London. I needed to say this. On a more general worldwide thing, I would like to talk about Maduro in Venezuela and Russia tensions with NATO over Catalan independence, because both of them are fake. And we have learned in this Radio Hadrian how WikiLeaks is fake, Anonymous is fake, 9/11, nothing in the world is how they tell us it is, and it's delivered to us through mainstream media. And now it's time for Venezuela. In Venezuela, Maduro is a traitor to the Bolivarian revolution. He's a corrupt and violent guy who's there to kill the Bolivarian revolution for 100 years. We know this in three ways. First, he's allied to Podemos. Podemos is a fake project organized by Soros, Rothschild, and NATO, and they work for the CIA. And the same is CUP. CUP is a splinter party that are doing all kind of idiotic things to avoid independence while pretending to be anti-system and pro-independence. Both of them ignored our hunger strike, attacked me, and they're both fake. And they both are very friends with Nicolas Maduro. But the three of them work for the other side. And not only that, but we've spoken with people that used to be staunch supporters of Chavez, enough to travel to foreign countries to meet with him. And now they say that this Maduro works for the Americans to murder the revolution from within. So it's the same thing as in Catalonia and Scotland. The most effective way to murder something that the New World Order doesn't want is through mistakes done in the Scottish, Venezuelan, or Catalan side. And we know it from people in Venezuela, and we know it because Maduro is siding with CIA-funded projects like CUP or Podemos. But the third thing is I went to the consulate of Venezuela explaining how I could bring down the UK and Spain, and I was ready to take all the risk and move there if needed and ask for political asylum because I could prove that the whole Catalan and Scottish referendums and processes are rigged by Secret Service organizations. And first they were nice to me, and then after that they received a call and they never saw me again, which is peculiar with something that they're always being attacked by Spain. This week with Maduro, he sent back the Spanish ambassador, and all these tricks they do to keep us like hooked into this enormous Truman Show we call life. Instead of that, Maduro could just support those of us who knows how to bring down UK and Spain. But he doesn't, because he is fake. He's just there to make people hate what Hugo Chavez started. And it's a classical system. You cannot, with a leader, you cannot corrupt a leader, so you just need to put the replacement there. So when the leader dies, and there's people hinting that Chavez got inoculated cancer in Cuba, I'm not going to go into that because I don't have the evidence. Then you put the substitute and you murder the revolution for 100 years. Another theme of the week has been Russia and NATO over TIF. Now, Russia has come trendy because they accuse Russia of having influenced elections in Czech Republic, Italy, United States, and the Catalan process. We need to clarify that referendums are against Catalans and Scots. So those who want referendums, they don't want independence. This is a very important thing we have to get clear in our minds, and we commented this in chapter 3. Referendum is the opposite of independence. It's the opposite of independence. It's the way to murder independence and try to make it look like an accident. No referendum brings independence. Without understanding this, we just mice in a wheel. But then this week, NATO has said that they were angry because Russia was supporting Catalan independence, and this Danish teacher, Wind, also was saying that the Catalan independence would be a wet dream for Putin and stuff. That's also a lie. Because I tried to get in contact with the Russians to bring down or to explain the truth of the Scottish referendum rigging and the infiltration in Catalonia, and they ignored. And Russia could bring down United States telling the truth about 9/11, and they don't. And Russia knows that everything about AIDS is a lie that has murdered millions of people all over the world, basically because of the treatment. Because nothing about the virus, the test, nothing is how they told us. The AIDS is one of the biggest lies in the world ever. And the Russians know, as lots of independent people know, that everything is fake. And they don't. And Russia knows that the S&P works for London. And Russia knows that the referendum was rigged. And Russia could break United Kingdom tomorrow. And they don't. And Russia could break Spain tomorrow because they know that Puigdemont, Forcadell, Junqueras, you name them, they work for Spain. And they know because we have far less means than we have found out. We have found out by meeting with thousands of people that are telling us things. But they have the means, they have the people, they have the money, and they know these things. So all this thing about Russia being enemy of NATO and all that, that's all a lie. And WikiLeaks against the United States, it's a lie. And the same way as the Catalan Guardia Civil entered ANC and Òmnium Cultural, which are the two big grassroots organizations, or Spanish minister said that the biggest two pro-Indi so-called parties are like ETA being the equivalent of IRA in Basque Country. These things are done to promote them and to protect them. It's sad that humankind has been brainwashed so much as not to see the obvious things. Spain is attacking grassroots organizations and political parties in Catalonia that are the ones that didn't deliver independence, and they do that to protect them. It's a psyop for dummies. Spain attacks their own infiltrated organizations to protect them from Catalans. I don't know what there is there not to be understood if you're not blinded by faith. That is. To finish this up, it's something that we've used a lot of tales here in these programs. Talk about the Emperor's New Dress, or the milkmaid tale about somebody's looking for a rosy future but then is distracted and then the future never comes with the independence processes. We've talked about Plato's cave. We've talked about the Truman Show. And now it's the time for, I think in English called the ugly little duckling. I guess it's the same thing in Scotland. Free thinkers who have cleared that SNP are the main enemy of independence are often attacked and berated by the majority of people who don't want to see the truth because they have their own interests, because they have commodity, because they're scared of the very dangerous world outside there, because it's evident. You put in a computer, and a computer will tell you that the SNP is infiltrated to the top, and Nicola Sturgeon is protecting the UK. That's what a computer will tell you. But then you have emotions and cognitive dissonance, and then, for some miracle, people think that Nicola Sturgeon fights for independence. A mystery to me. But anyways, these people are still a majority, but they won't be a majority forever, because the truth is the truth. You cannot lie to everybody the whole time. So we should approach these things. In Catalonia, we're doing the same. We're growing the resistance, and we're gonna be millions of people in the next 24 months, but we start little. And the tale is like the little duckling, which was not in good relation with the rest of the family and all, and then he realized that it was not an ugly duckling, it was a swan. And when he came out as a swan, he gathered together with the other swans. And that's the same thing. If we are 1% of the population, that means the best, more free-thinking 50,000 Scots that are able to understand that the whole system is rigged against you and that SNP won't deliver independence because they are there precisely to murder independence while they pretend they want it. So nobody really independentist can be there. That explains why they pushed everybody into the SNP. That explains why they did the awful SNP vote 1 and 2 that delivered so many unionist seats in Holyrood. That explains why they didn't avoid the rigging. That explains everything, actually. I mean, somebody came from a foreign planet and they would say SNP works for London, isn't it? So that's what we need to do. We should start trying to convert the ducklings around us, because we, the free thinkers, the members of the Catalan and Scottish resistance, are actually swans. And we need to find other swans there that have been born in duck families. And we should gather together. And then we're going to be the thousands of leaders, the grassroots leaders, the people's leaders, the people who don't belong to this new world order that is epitomized by the SNP and by the Catalan parties. And then we are going to lead Scotland and Catalonia to independence. We're a bit more advanced in Catalonia, but then we're committed to then help Scots to get their future in their own hands. We are winning. We're going to win this. First Catalonia, then Scotland, then the rest of the world. Visca Catalunya i Escòcia lliures.
This is Hadrian Radio, coming to you from Free Catalonia, a KA Radio production.